Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. We knew this to be the case. We knew it. But now we have proof of it. When Trump's not looking, when they're not talking to Trump, behind Trump's back, Trump's officials are saying very different things to each other about his economic policy than they say publicly or than they say to Trump. That comes in the form of this, which is Scott Bessent, who he's like 100 millionaire and still has a phone that has a home button, which is fine just for any of us. But Bessent lives in like a massive pink mansion. You can't get the updated iPhone. All right. And on his iPhone, he was photographed at the UN while Trump was bravely climbing up a broken escalator against all odds. Bessent was texting with Brooke Rollins, the agriculture secretary, and Brooke Rollins was saying what we all feel about the impact Trump's tariffs and his economic policy is having. And so let's read what these texts said and then talk about some other things. Cameraman captures Scott Bessent's text exposing White House panic. You can see it there. We could probably read, but I'll just read the transcription here from the New Republic. Just a heads up, Brooke Rollins wrote to Bessent, who's the Treasury Secretary. I'm getting more intel, but this is highly unfortunate. We bailed out Argentina yesterday, and in return, Argentina removed their export tariffs on grains, reducing their price to China at a time when we would normally be selling to China. Soy prices are dropping further because of it. This gives China more leverage on us on a plane, but Scott, I can call you when I land. And so what she's talking about there is that we are shooting ourselves in the foot with this set of draconian trade wars that Trump has launched us into. And soybeans have been a big focus. This is the U.S. soybean sales to China, and you can see it went to zero, essentially. And farmers really relied on these sales, and they've collapsed. And as we're bailing out Argentina, which is a whole different story, I thought, oh, Milei was crushing it. Look at the chainsaw. The chainsaw against the deep state, right? Or the bureaucracy, Elon said, right before he said
legalize comedy.
Yeah, and other things at that event. Now we're giving them a financial lifeline. But then they're turning around and wheeling and dealing with China. With
China.
There we go. We're on it today. We're so on it. In a way that's harmful to us and to our farmers and to our economy. China then is weaponizing agriculture imports to target Trump and U.S. farmers. As I go through this, please do, if you appreciate the show, click the subscribe button. It's free. Millions of you watch every month who aren't subscribed. Please do that. I appreciate it greatly. As the clock ticks down on President Donald Trump's deadline to seal a trade deal with China, which funnily he said 2.5 months ago he had already secured, but it hasn't been secured in reality. A top U.S. farming industry is becoming collateral damage again. You have the sort of background. U.S. soybean farmers are learning that China, along the predominant market for their product, doesn't need them anymore. China has not purchased any U.S. soybeans since May, according to the American Soybean Association. That's a fun association. Beijing has pivoted to suppliers. I am the executive vice president of the American Soybean Association. To suppliers in Brazil and Argentina. It is actually really important. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Pivoted suppliers in Brazil and Argentina, logging huge orders for Latin American beans and leaving U.S. farmers in the cold and panicking. He's waging what is turning out to be an assault on our farmers when this policy was supposed to be in the interest of them. And so, what does he do? What does he do? Think about it to yourself. Guess. What does he do? These tariffs are wreaking havoc. He's helping out Argentina, but then they're doing this. China is having their parades, and they're all having a fun time. What does he do? He tariffs movies, of course. What else would he do? Newsom says, you're already paying more for eggs, coffee, toys, shoes, electricity, furniture, cars, and flights. Now Trump wants to raise taxes to see the movies. Pay more and enjoy nothing. That's Donald Trump's America. Donald Trump announces a 100% tariff on all films made outside the U.S. Now, we covered this back when he initially was pontificating about it, but I guess now he's really doing it. And I struggled to figure out the logistics. Like you can kind of get if a bag of coffee is coming to a port, and then you say, "Hey, there's a Trump tariff. You pay to the border people, then you bring it in." I get that. I don't even know how do you tariff a movie? I'm really struggling to. I'm sure there's a way, but like, how do you? This is gonna be a dumb joke. Get ready. The Paddington Bear like shows up to the southern border, which is made in the UK, and then you say, "Hey, Paddington Bear, before you can go to the big screens, you have to pay a 100% tariff. We're waging war on the Paddington Bear." Is that even how you pronounce it? I asked for other examples in ChatGPT of foreign movies and characters in them. Pan's Labyrinth. This was just a terrible list, but I like Paddington Bear. How do you tariff Paddington Bear? Where do you tariff Paddington Bear? Where, oh where? We are scared. How could you tariff Paddington Bear? It's poetry now that I'm displaying for you. So that's confusing and doesn't seem to be a solution to any of our problems. But here is some Fox Business reporting saying that it's bad.
How much more are we actually paying?
Yeah, you're really going to be treating yourself at the grocery store, Stu. Take a look at this. For ground beef, prices are up about 14% year over year, or I should say 13%, I believe. Roasts, 14%, steaks, 17%. The reason why is that cattle inventory in the U.S. is at its lowest numbers in 70 years. I have Mike Mertz here with me, who's invited us to his farm here in Maple Park, Illinois, with 3,000 cattle, right? Talk to me a little bit about how we got to this point.
Well, the real issue here is the drought that happened a number of years ago, and Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, the Southeast lost all their grass, all their forage, and when that happens, you've got to liquidate cows, and that's what we've done. And we've got the lowest cow inventory since 1951, so that's the cause of this.
Obviously, there are other factors that people in your community are still worried about. The president has said he'd like to potentially give the revenue from tariffs to people in your position. Why is that still important right now? What are you dealing with?
Well, it's important because some of the price drop we've seen on the grain side came from the tariffs.
Do you see this shot of this cow? Even this cow that is not being tariffed, because it is a U.S. cow, it's a Maple Park cow, knows that this is effed up. Look at that. Does that look like a happy cow? No. Does that look like a cow when Luke Beasley's milking it? No. It doesn't. This is what Trump has done. This is what he's taken from us, as Benny Johnson would say. Speaking of which, in the last segment, we went over the MAGA freakout over Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl halftime show, and this is the perfect example. Instead of focusing on something that actually will increasing meat prices, right? Across all grocery prices, they're going up because of Trump's actions. Instead of focusing on that, they're focusing on how really people should be riled up because Bad Bunny, he hates America, and the NFL went woke.
And we're seeing input costs higher because it came from the tariffs. And here at Larson Farms, we've got our cattle operation, we've got our crop operation. The cattle are making money, the crops are going to lose money. So hopefully we can average that together, but we need some support.
Mike, thank you so much. And Stu, I'll leave you with this. One reason why some of these farmers think that the demand has also increased is because of drugs like Ozempic and people just generally wanting to eat more meat as part of their diets. I'll send it back to you.
That's interesting. Good stuff, Kelly. Thanks very much.
Okay, I didn't understand that last part, but I guess, yeah, like, what? Really? Okay. I like that weight loss strategy. More burgers. That'll work for me. I must be the best at weight loss then. So it's bad. I mean, we're in a bad place. And even Trump's officials know it. And they see that China is outmaneuvering us. which is not saying a lot. It's not like, oh, China did something genius. They're just doing exactly what you'd expect based on Trump's actions.